Alright, welcome to another map labeling tutorial, and today we're going to be doing this particular one from Cambridge 16. So here you have the heading, Plan of Stevenson's Site. Remember, I always say the most important thing you need to do is to first of all take a very good look at the map so that you're able to see everything before the recording starts to play. Because if you're not ready before the recording starts playing, you'd find it very difficult. So you're not supposed to start looking for where the access road or the main road or the factory is when the recording is already playing, because it will mean a lot more work. And because the recording is usually a bit quick, you wouldn't be able to meet up. And that's why it feels like map labeling question types are difficult. Okay, but if you do what you're supposed to do at the right time, you wouldn't have a problem. Remember, you'd be giving 30 seconds to, read your questions. So they would say, now you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. That time isn't for you to just come and read these things here, coffee room, warehouse, staff canteen, and the rest. What I advise you do with that time is to take a very good look at the map. Okay, as you can see here, you have main road. On the right side, you have access road. So from the main road, you can go up this access road, and there's a turning point here, and then you can go back to the main road. Then you have the reception, open courtyard, factory. You also notice that there's a line of trees on the left side of the map. So these are some things that you can just take note of, so that when it's time for you to start labeling your map, you wouldn't have any issues doing that. Okay? All right, now we're going to play the recording.
Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Okay, now I'll briefly help you to orientate yourselves around the site. As you can see, we're in the reception area, which we try to make attractive and welcoming to visitors. There's a corridor running left from here, and if you go along that, the door facing you at the end is the entrance to the coffee room. This looks out onto the main road on one side and some trees on the other, and that'll be where you meet each morning.
Okay, so you heard her, right? So now we are at the reception, and there's a corridor running left. So let's say you walk in from the main road. This is an entrance. That's why there's a space here. So all these gaps on the map actually signify doors. You understand? So let's say you're walking from the main road, you enter the reception. So you're walking from the main road, you enter the reception. So she said there's a corridor running left. This is a corridor, and this is the left side from the reception. You'd see this door or opening, and then there's a corridor running left. And she said if you walk along that corridor to the end, you'd come to the coffee room. Remember, number 15 is coffee room. So if you follow the direction, you'd land at H. That means H is the coffee room. But then she said other things. She said this looks out to the main road on one side and to some trees on the other. So from H, you can see the main road. From H, you can also see the trees. If you look very carefully, you would see that there is no other room on this whole map from where you can see both the line of trees and the main road. It's only H. So sometimes after they direct you to a place, they say some other things that might actually help you confirm your answer. And in this case, they said that the coffee room looks out to the main road on one side and to a line of trees, to some trees on the other side. That means from the coffee room, you can see the main road and you can also see the trees. Okay, so the answer to number 15 is H. We've labeled the coffee room. Now, she's going to direct us to the warehouse. Remember, I'm only pausing this because it's a tutorial. If you're practicing on your own, you realize that it goes really quickly. So you have to make up your mind very quickly, follow the directions, and once you land at the answer, write it and move on, because they wouldn't actually give you time to figure out all these things. So that's why I cannot overemphasize the importance of paying attention. Okay? Now let's continue.
Factory is the very big room on the far side of the site. Next to it is the warehouse, which can...
So notice something, they are not going to direct you to all these places from one place, maybe say from the reception. Okay, they're not going to direct you to all these places from the reception. They can start directing you from anywhere. And this is why it's important that you see every place on the map before the recording starts. Now, she started by saying factory is the large room at the end of the map. So you can see that this is the factory, right? She now said next to it is the warehouse. But if you look at it, you realize that there are 3 different compartments next to the factory. So that leaves you at a point where your answer can be A or B or C. So you keep listening because she's going to say other things that would make it clear which it is. Okay?
accessed by lorries going up the road to the turning area at the end.
So she said next to the factory is the warehouse, which can be accessed by lorries going up the road to the turning point at the end. So you know what the warehouse is for, right? It's for storing things. So she's saying that the warehouse can be accessed by lorries going up the access road to the turning point at the end. So you can see this access road now. There's a turning point at the end. And from this road, she's saying you can actually access the warehouse. Now, if you're paying attention to little details, you'd realize that there's actually an entrance here. There's an entrance to C from the access road. So that means when the lorries come through the main road and go up the access road, they can offload whatever they are trying to, supply to the site here through this entrance, and then turn and then go back to the main road and continue their journey. Okay, now that is a very important point. Remember I said we had A, B, and C left, but you cannot access A and B from this road. It's not possible. Okay, only C. But you still keep listening because sometimes, like I said, they always say something extra to make it easier for you to pick your answer.
You can get to the warehouse by crossing to the far side of the courtyard, and then the door is on your right.
She also said that you can get to the warehouse by crossing to the far side of the courtyard. So this is the entrance to the courtyard. If you cross to the far side of it, that's like go literally from wall to the opposite wall. So when you cross the far side of the courtyard, you can get to the warehouse. The door is by the right. So if you look at it, let's say you come in through the reception and then you cross to the far side of the courtyard, by the right here, this is an entrance to C. You understand? So you notice that C has 2 entrances, through the courtyard and through the access road. And she has talked about both entrances. So the answer is C. The warehouse is at C. Now, staff canteen.
Somewhere you'll be keen to find is the staff canteen. This is right next to reception. I can confidently say that the food's very good, but the view isn't.
First of all, the staff canteen is right next to reception. This is the reception. But you notice that there are 2 offices or compartments that are next to reception. You have J and then you have G. So which is it? She's getting there. But she mentioned something. I can confidently tell you that their food is good, but the view is not. That means when you're sitting in the staff canteen and maybe you look outside the window, what you see is not, it's not a pleasant view. You're not going to see some nice flowers or, a park. So the food is nice, but the view is not. So we have to keep listening to know whether the answer is J or G.
Those on one side look onto a corridor and courtyard, which aren't very attractive at all, and on the other onto the access road.
So the windows on one side look onto a corridor and courtyard. If you look at it very well, both J and G look out to a corridor and courtyard. If you're looking from this side of the window from G, this is a little corridor and this is the courtyard. If you're looking from J, this is a little corridor and this is a courtyard. So that part they have in common. You have to keep listening for the difference. So she said the window from one side looks out to a corridor and courtyard, and on the other side, it looks out to the access road. That is why the answer is G. Because from G, you can see the access road, but from J, you cannot see the access road. Remember that this is a plan of a site, a building. So from J, it's not possible to see the access road, but from G, you can see the access road as well as a corridor and the courtyard on the other side. So the staff canteen is at G.
Which isn't much better. You'll be using the meeting room quite often, and you'll find it by walking along the corridor to the left of the courtyard and continuing along it to the end. The meeting room is the last one on the right, and I'm afraid...
Okay, so you're going to be using the meeting room a lot. She said to get to it, you have to walk along the corridor to the left of the courtyard. This is the courtyard. This is the corridor to the left of the courtyard. So you have to walk along it and continue to the end. So as she's saying these things, you have to point, follow the direction. So this corridor to the left of the courtyard, you keep going to the end. And then the meeting room is on the right. Because when you get to the end, you have A and B. A on the left and B on the right. So she said when you get to the end, the meeting room is on the right. And she was going to add something. I'm afraid...
no natural daylight in the room.
So I'm afraid...
Then you'll need to know where some of the offices are. The human resource...
All right, so she said, I'm afraid there is no natural daylight in the room. And if you actually look at it, B has no windows. Like, it might have windows, but, not to outside the building because it's literally surrounded by other offices, if you look at it very carefully. So that is the extra thing that she said for you to be sure. So let's say you missed when she said it's the one to the right and you're considering A. By the time she says, I'm afraid there is no natural daylight, that should let you know immediately that A cannot be the answer because obviously you can see that A can, from this side of A, you can see the trees. So natural daylight would be coming in if there is a window here. So the answer is B. When you walk along the corridor to the left of the courtyard to the end, the meeting room is on the right, and I'm afraid there is no natural daylight here. So the meeting room is B. Human resources. She was really talking about telling us where some offices are.
Department is at the front of this building. It's the second room you come to. You'll be using the meeting room quite often, and you'll find it by walking along the corridor to the left of the courtyard and continuing along it to the end. The meeting room is the last one on the right, and I'm afraid there's no natural daylight in the room. Then you'll need to know where some of the offices are. The Human Resources Department is at the front of this building. So you head to the left along the corridor from reception, and it's the second room you come to.
So first of all, she said that the Human Resources Department is at the front of this building. This is the main road. This is the entrance to the reception. That means this is the front of the building, right? So she said that it is at the front of this building. Now, that leaves us with H, I, and J as possible. Okay. No, not H, because H is a coffee room. We've already labeled that, right? So that leaves us with I and J. So she now said, if you, continue into the corridor to the left of the reception, is the second room you come to. So you come in through the reception and you're on this corridor. You pass this first room, which is J. it's the second room you come to. So the answer is I. Remember, if you ever feel the need to hear the recording again, please feel free to rewind it so that you can actually pick it up. Now that leaves us with number 20, which is boardroom.
Out onto the main road. And finally, the boardroom, where you'll be meeting sometimes. That has quite a pleasant view as it looks out onto the trees. Go along the corridor past the courtyard, right to the end. The boardroom is on the left, next to the factory. Okay, now, are there any questions?
See, so if you're able to follow the directions, it's actually quite easy. So the boardroom, she said it has a pleasant view, and that move along the corridor to the left of the courtyard and continue to the end. The boardroom is on the left, next to factory. So we've picked B before as the meeting room. C is the warehouse. So the only one that's really next to the factory we've not picked is A. But apart from that, she did say continue to the end and is on the left. And I believe the reason she said it has a pleasant view is because from this side you can actually see these nice trees. Okay, so the answer to number 20 is A. So that's how you attempt map labeling questions. You just have to pay attention, follow the directions very carefully, and you'd be able to land on the right spots, like exactly where you're supposed to be. And it makes it a lot easier. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.